We got married in 2012 at an old historic camp right outside of Chicago and had all of our best friends in town. It was pretty magical. During that process, I just fell in love with this idea of creating a space where people could come and celebrate love.
That just kind of captured our imagination because it was like, there's only one opportunity in your life where you can make all of these people come together to celebrate you.
We started looking for a place that we could create and share in the same way that our wedding venue was. And the idea of having something and buying something historical, like so many good times have been had in the past. And so there was something about trying to find a place that had a soul. In 2017, one of his best friends, Kevin Sullivan, who actually was the landscape architect here, sent us a link to the mansion. I can just remember scrolling through that Zillow listing 1 million times and saying like, oh my gosh, I think this is it. And I'm not really sure why, because the house was not in great shape. It was totally overgrown. It was blue, the siding was coming off, there was a double wide. I mean, it was not sexy. We learned that this house was actually built for a woman named Mrs. Walton as a wedding gift. And so the combination of just seeing the space and feeling the energy and then knowing the history, it just felt like we had to carry this gift forward.
My name is Christy Story Clay, and I am the general manager of the Grand Lady. Grand Lady was originally built in 1881 up in Bartlett, Texas. It was originally a Victorian-style home, but in 1911, Mrs. Walton and her husband remodeled it to this colonial style. Come 60s, early 70s, a family named the Stallworths purchased the home, and they're the ones who actually separated the home into 3 pieces and moved it here to Manor, Texas, where it has been.
I knew from the minute I saw it that Katie was never going to let it go, and that this was going to be our project.
Here we are.
Here we are.
That's your paintbrush to paint.
When COVID hit and everyone was home, we just had a little bit of time on our hands. And we had never actually fully explored the entire property. And so one day we decided to take the kids out and we started walking, and that's when we found the path.
Hey guys, what you doing?
The path that you take to the farm, follow that little winding path and you come out to this clearing and you're like, whoa. Once we saw it and we kind of intuited that maybe someone had grown something here, maybe there's a garden back here, we thought, you could definitely do something here. And Katie was like, I think we could grow flowers.
We planted like 3 or 4 rows and kind of left them, gave them some water, and then didn't check on them for a few weeks.
I mean, we both had full-time jobs and we had 3 kids under 4 years old at home because of the pandemic.
But weeks later, we walked back and we're like, oh my gosh, they grew.
They grew.
And it was just this unbelievable moment that these flowers could exist back there.
We cut a bunch of them, and there's this moment where Katie was holding them all in her hands, and she's like, take a picture. And she just yells, we're farmers!
We have a farm. Zinnias, sunflowers, snappies.
Anyone who's ever grown something successfully and then held it knows it captures your imagination in a way very few things do on planet Earth.
Hi, babe.
There was something that was just so magical about being in nature and having my hands dirty and seeing simple seeds turn into such beautiful flowers. After that first season where we had that trial of a few rows of flowers, my dad passed away. We were so close and he was such an important part of the project. If for nothing else, as a cheerleader. I had this pulling that we needed to expand the garden in his honor. In those quiet moments of being out there, often alone, I had the space to just be and to grieve my dad. And while I was doing that, the garden just exploded and it grew. And really, so did I. The flowers in so many ways became a teacher. During a time that was very dark, the garden really showed me that despite that darkness, like, there is beauty everywhere. And that was the beginning of what exists out there today. We had a flower farm, and it was time to have a flower farmer. And because I was not cutting it anymore.
I wasn't supposed to be the farmer. I was the teacher in the family. My brother is a soil scientist and his wife is an entomologist. And so, you know, the idea of like slowly scaling the farm, I think he always kind of quietly chuckled to himself while we were on the phone and be like, yeah, well, we just put in 36 beds. Like, oh my God, 36 beds, who's working there? It's like, well, I am on the weekends and stuff. And he's like, uh-huh. And he was always supposed to be the farmer, but somehow I fell into that role. It's all based on a school of gardening called like a no-till system. And I'm not perfectly no-till, but try to be a little bit more low-till, gentle on things, just because improves soil quality.
It's been so awesome to see him teach himself everything that he can about regenerative farming.
When you are a small business owner, you have to have the question of sustainability and your ethics at the center of what you're doing.
I think one thing we're seeing, especially with weddings, is a switch towards sustainability. I think a lot of vendors and a lot of clients are seeing a lot of the waste that can go into weddings, as beautiful as they are.
Things are flying across the world. They're in heated or cooled greenhouses. Like, there's just so much carbon emissions associated with wedding flowers.
Having the opportunity to have control over the flowers right here on property and avoid using petroleum-based fertilizers, avoid having to fly or ship in a lot of flowers means a lot to our clients.
Local growers are having more success and feeling more empowered than ever.
She has touches of like a dark pink. It says orange, but it's more of like a muted orange. Kind of mix it in.
I'm gonna go start cutting, and I'll bring them back and we can edit and add as we see fit. Yeah, we actually have these exact apple blossoms. I know.
When my dad passed away, I found a handwritten note in his bag. It said, "The one true blessing in this world is family." This place and what we get to be a part of every day has made me know that so much more deeply.
The beauty of it is the intent to do something for someone else.
And you may kiss the bride.
The Grand Lady really drew us towards it, and I think since we've bought it, there's been like a grand unraveling in the most beautiful way. As we've been able to spend more time outside in nature, spend more time being a part of these peak experiences with these couples and these families, I think it's really just peeled back all of the things that just don't matter.
The purpose is just to delight people and make them happy. Just allow people that moment, that joy.